Lesson 3 talks about what a point in a scatter plot means. We're going to be investigating points in a scatter plot. And the criteria is to describe the meaning of a point in a scatter plot in context. We start with the warm-up about the giant panda. So a giant panda lives in a zoo. What does the point on the graph tell you about the panda? So take a moment to reflect on that. Pause the video if need be. When you're looking at this point, 3682, this really tells you that at 36 months, so this is the number of months, or we would just say, I'll just say months. The panda weighs 82 pounds. So again, this is in context to the situation, but think about what specific information did each axis give you. The x-axis told me the age in months. The y-axis told me the weight in kilograms, which again goes all the way back to lesson 1, talking about the importance of labels on axes. Okay, so the weight and fuel efficiency in 3.2. So let's first talk about what is fuel efficiency. So I have a short little video here. I don't know if it'll play with sound, so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what it is. So fuel efficiency is a measure of the average distance a car will travel using a certain amount of gas. Commonly, this is measured in miles per gallon, which I'm sure you're all familiar of hearing. But for example, a car that has a fuel efficiency of 25 miles per gallon, let's say 25 miles per gallon, just so you can see a visual, should be able to drive approximately 25 miles while using up a gallon of gas. Many factors can influence fuel efficiency, including the way an engine is engineered. So to produce more power, an engine may use more gas. Driving conditions, more frequent stopping and starting, or hills will use fuel less efficiently. And then what accessories are being used. Air conditioning requires energy that is not used for actually driving the car. So think about what a scatter plot would look like if we were to include these two variables. So you're going to work through the information in your books about the weight and the fuel efficiency. You have a table, and then you do have a scatter plot. And there's 6 questions that you're going to go through and answer. So let's pause and let's take a moment. Let's reflect on some of these. Okay, so which point in the scatter plot represent car L's measure? That point is actually 1,663.19. What is the fuel efficiency of the car with the greatest weight? So I'm going to look for the car that has the greatest weight. I might reference my graph for this one, and I see that it's somewhere in between here, and it looks like it's 16 miles per gallon. What is the weight of the car with the greatest fuel efficiency? So now I'm looking at the greatest fuel efficiency, which looks to be here. And then to estimate that, I might go to my table and say, well, the miles per gallon is 30 is what I'm looking for, which is right here. So I can get a more accurate value, which is 1,234 kilograms. Car S weighs 1,912 kilograms and gets 16 miles per gallon. So on the scatter plot, let's plot a point that would represent that. That point's going to go somewhere around here. and we'll label that car S. Cars N and O, which are, I'm going to use my highlighter here, N and O. Here's N, here's O. Let's see, where's my other question? There we go. Okay. They're made by the same company. So when we compare their weights, does anything surprise you in this situation? And nothing really should surprise you. So, whoops, let me grab a different color. I'm going to say nothing surprising. Why do I keep grabbing the wrong thing? I would say there's nothing surprising here. Because they typically seem to fit in the trend. Seems to fit with the trend. And what we notice is that car N has a lower weight and a higher fuel than car O. But again, it's nothing that should be surprising. So then we go to question 5, which, oops, I wrote that in the wrong spot. I'm sorry, question 6, this goes here. Okay, so we go to question 6, and now we're looking at cars F and G, which is here, car F and car G. And these are also made by a different company, but the same company that's making F and G. Compare their weights. And we notice that their fuel efficiencies are the same and their weights are very different. They're extremely different. And this is actually surprising. So this is surprising since they are made by the same company. So you wonder, what is the difference in these cars that is allowing them to weigh so different but have the exact same fuel amount? Okay, so again, just analyzing the data via table and a scatter plot. Depending on the question, we either use the scatter plot or we use the table or we used a combination of both, but that's what kind of helped us make those decisions about our answers. Okay, so the last one we're looking at is coat sales. And a clothing store keeps track of the average monthly temperature in degrees Celsius for coat sales in dollars. So go ahead and start working through this on your own. And then we will go through this. So either pause or the video is going to stop. Okay, so what does the point 15,680 represent? Well, I'm going to go ahead and look at my table that tells me 15 is the temperature. So when it's 15 degrees Celsius, there's $680 in coat sales. And remember, the whole point of this lesson is to look at things and analyze them in terms of their context. So when we're taking that point, we're analyzing what do those numbers mean in terms of the situation. For the month with the lowest average temperature, estimate the total amount made from coat sales. So when I look at these two representations, I immediately look at the scatter plot because the data is actually not in order by temperature. So I'm just looking immediately at the scatter plot. And I see at -5 is my lowest temperature, even though that happens to be the one listed first. So when the temperature is -5, it's approximately $1,500 in sales, $1,550. So when temp is negative 5 degrees Celsius, there is 1550 in sales, in coat sales specific. For the month with the smallest coat sales, estimate the average monthly temperature. So smallest coat sales, I'm actually going to the graph again to estimate, and this is where I'm looking. Smallest coat sales looks to be close to like the 410, which I'm assuming is here in my table. So I'm going to estimate that it's about 23 degrees Celsius. And that's where I would find that on the graph. And then if there were a point 0A, what would it represent? And then use the scatter plot to estimate where it would fall. So 0A, I'm going to use red. So 0, A, I would say I'm looking at 0 on the x-axis, and then A would probably fall, honestly, somewhere around here. So I might estimate between, I would say around $1,200 to $1,300. And that's just based on the trends I'm seeing in the scatter plot. And then in reverse, what would point B0 represent? So what would the x value be when that y value is 0? Honestly, I'm looking at that trend and I'm seeing, maybe 30 degrees. I would say around 30 degrees. Would it make sense to use this trend to estimate the value of sales when the average monthly temperature is 60 degrees? No, not really, because the temperature I should probably put the question there, the temperature would be much warmer and the dollars would end up being negative. So no, that doesn't really make sense for that situation. And that was that question number 6. Okay, so just kind of in summary, here's your lesson summary. Scatter plots show 2 measurements for each individual from a group. For example, the scatter plot shows the weights and heights for each dog from a group of 25 dogs. You see that plotted there. So when we collect data by measuring attributes like height, weight, area, or volume, we call that numerical data. And we say that the height, weight, area, or volume is a numerical variable. Upcoming lessons will discuss how to identify and describe trends in data that has been collected. So that was all there in that summary. You could read through everything if you desire. But your goal was to, again, describe the meaning of a point in a scatter plot, which is what we basically did. This lesson's assignment is page 21 and 22. My students, you guys know what I'm talking about, and we're just doing questions 1 and 2.